Right. Hi guys, how's it going? Welcome to my first Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 video. I'm just gonna be doing random videos flying to random places, but also especially I'll be flying to areas I was flying during my PPO training when I was doing my hour building, as well as a bit of flying that I was doing during my instrument training, just so we can check out the fidelity of the simulator itself, how well it models certain things, critiquing certain things that I saw that maybe need improvement. But like as you'll see, the less complex aircraft in the simulator are modeled pretty well, but the more complex ones, like here, let's just have a look at the aircrafts on the simulator. You can see we've got everything from the big jets to our propellers, our Cirruses, our 172s, they're there, as well as the turboprops, the TBM 930, which was showcased a lot during the marketing for this project. But then these aircraft, especially the complex ones, the TBMs, the Boeing 787s, they're not modeled well enough such that I would use them to actually, like, you know, they're more for someone who's just getting into flight simulating. But if you're someone who knows how things are supposed to work, you might be a bit disappointed by these pictures. So when it comes to the simulator, I much rather just use the smaller airplanes, the 172s, which don't take a lot of coding to model. So yeah, today we'll be using the Skyhawk 172, which is the aircraft I trained in. I did a bit of flying in the Pipers as well, but mostly I was doing 172. Okay, so here I've got the page where we can select where we want to take off. Pretty much take off anyway in the world, and yeah, as you can see, the US is the busiest there, but yeah, you can take off anywhere. So today I'm just going to do a circuit in Pretoria at Wonderboom, which is the airport I trained at. We're going to do a circuit, then you're going to go to the GF or General Flying area, so that we see just what's there. I'm sure the people who've flown at the General Flying area #1 know the key points: our power station, the Spider, Freeway, Centerfield, Amanskrau Dam, the crater, all those places. We're gonna just look at how it looks like in the sim as compared to real life. But as far as I've seen, this simulator, you can actually use it to prepare for a navigation flight. Before you actually do it, it's actually spot on. The landmarks are all there. There are some considerations to take into account, but for the most part, I felt like it was very good. Okay, so we're gonna put it on clear weather. All right. So preset clear skies. We can do a bit of maybe a few clouds there, right? Then the time here is the live time. Then I want to send it to, and then there we go. We'll be taking off from runway 29. Let's fly. There we go. We've loaded up at our airport, Wonderboom Airport. Lined up on runway 29. The simulator, if you select a runway and if you don't select, like, let's say a parking bay or gate, it will spawn you close to takeoff when it has already done all the checks. It has started the engine and everything. But should you want to start at the runway bay area, and I mean, at a parking bay, it can do that, whereby it's off and you have to start everything and configure it for takeoff and speak to tower and whatnot. But everything here up to this point, tower, we've spoken to the tower. My co-pilot is done speaking to the tower. They've told us everything that we need to do. Basically, at this point, we've been cleared for takeoff. All right, so I'm gonna press here, ready to fly. Okay, look at that. Look at the inside of the airplane. It is modeled very, very well. You know, it's almost pretty much like the real thing. I'm just gonna put the RPM here at 1,000, where we usually put it when the aircraft is idling and we've stopped, so it provides better cooling. Right, okay. There you go. You can toggle here so that you can see more and remove the yoke so that you can see better. As you can see, it's pretty well. It's pretty well rendered. You really need a very powerful graphics card to render as well as this, because I'm rendering right now at 2K. It's about 50 frames per second. So it takes a lot of power to render the simulator, but should you have the power, it will blow your mind. Like, as you can see, lined up on runway 29, it looks almost spot on. There's just, you know, like, look at these two hills here, those two over there. It's pretty good. Then you can see there's a road that moves here and then goes to the shops, but then these buildings, I'm sure, yeah, they're not there. They're not there. And then these trees, though, these trees, they're there. Actually, when you are about to turn on to runway 29 to line up, these trees are actually there. Right, but generally the way the buildings are, even where the tower is, you know, they're pretty, you know, they're where they're supposed to be. They may not be modeled as accurately as, you know, make them super realistic, but I think they're good enough. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the cockpit. We're gonna just check what the conversation between the co-pilot and the tower was. Yeah, we've been cleared for takeoff, runway 29, straight out. Okay, usually if I was doing the radio myself, I would have said, no, we are remaining at the pattern. But here we're just going to do it anyway. Okay. All right, so let's take off runway 29. All right, I'm going to remove the brakes here. Bam. Then I'm going to just gradually increase power. There you go. There. Full power set. Our T's and P's green. Vacuum pump set. I should rotate. I was not able to maintain center line yet simply because I don't have a radar as yet. Hopefully I'll have one at some point. Okay. There you go, departing. There's our airport there. Our tower and everything. Okay, I'll climb away. Then I'll do our takeoff. After takeoff checks, our brakes, our undercarriage, our mixture, our pitch always set. We don't have pitch here, absolutely. And then we'll take our flaps up at 10 degrees flaps there. Then we continue on our climb about 75 knots. Alright, so as you can see, like the features that you're supposed to see when you're climbing away, you know, like this road here, I know it. Then the Bonacot Dam there, you know, they're where they're supposed to be. And then the mountain that we usually use for reference point when you're taking off of runway 29 is a mountain in the distance there. It's actually there as well. Okay, so now we're gonna turn on to crosswind, climbing up to 5,100 feet, which is our circuit altitude at our airport. Okay, we'll do climbing turn. It looks very nice. Very, very nice. Alright. Then we just dissipate 5,100 feet. All right. I'm just gonna reduce power here so don't climb. Trim out those forces. Okay. Then we're gonna request a touch and go.
Wonderboom Tower, Cessna Zulu Sierra November Kilo Mike touch and go. Cessna Zulu Sierra November Kilo Mike Wonderboom Tower. Enter left downwind runway 29er. Altimeter 29er decimal 9er, 2 wind 288 at 7.
You see, with this one, it does it the wrong way because it says it wants me to be left downwind runway 29, which is wrong. Our airport is supposed to be right downwind 29. Okay, that's the procedure at our airport. Simply because there's mountain there and then there's an Air Force base there, airspace, so it doesn't take that into account. Right. So okay, there's another key point that we use when we're doing circuits. There's petrol port there, and then there's the railway tracks there as well. Helps you keep within the circuit and you don't go too far. But so far, I mean, look, you know, it's modeled pretty, very well, you know, pretty good. Nice. Okay, so at this point we'll check our speed. Speed for 10 degrees flaps is about 110 knots, so we're below that, then you can put in 10 degrees flaps. This is where we probably do our downwind checks, take our brakes, our undercarriage, our
November Kilo Mike clear touch and go left traffic runway 29er. Wind 287 at 7.
okay, our T's and P's good. Actually, our temperature is a bit high. Yeah, there's something that
runway 29er Cessna November Kilo Mike.
Something it doesn't model very well. Like here, the amps, it's pretty much discharging at this point in time. For some reason, it never just stops discharging. So that's something I suppose needs to get fixed. Right, there you go. Right about around this point, that's when we would turn for our base. Turn our base here, 30-degree bank and go. Alright, there you go. Then we're gonna reduce power. Then we're gonna hold off so that our speed reduces to our descent speeds. 75 knots. Then we're gonna, on a white arc now, then we're gonna put in 20 degrees flaps. Okay, now as we descend, look at that. Wow. See, there's even some cars moving down there. Oh, yeah, we're drifting. A bit close to the runway. Okay, so it was nicely at 75 knots there. Now we're gonna turn for final. Then we're gonna leave the flaps at 20 degrees. Just power a bit. We've got no, at the actual airport we've got pipey lights, but on this one, no, it doesn't model the pipey lights. On some airports it does, but this one it doesn't. Okay, now we're on final. This is where we would check our carb heat, for airplane with carb heat, our manifold pressure, our pitch, our undercarriage, then our flaps 20. Then you continue on the approach, 75 knots. Then as we approach, begin the round out slowly. Then we close power, hold off, hold off, hold off. This was one of the most difficult parts of during my training. The amount of times I slammed the aircraft on the runway. Bam, nice. We take off all our flaps, put in full power. And then rotate. $75. Climb off on 75. Alright, nice. Wow, we're drifting. If I had some rudder, I would be able to compensate for that. Okay. 300 feet, then we do after takeoff our brakes, undercarriage, landing glides, off. Then as we get to 600, we're gonna wanna exit. So now we don't have the option to tell the tower that we're gonna go to the general flying area because the simulator itself doesn't recognize the general flying area. But usually we'll clear to something like 6,000 feet, then we'll report outbound as we go to the general flying area. Be at about a heading of 020. Then we continue our climb to 6,000 feet. We want to drift a bit here because we've got a wind coming from our left, so we just need to compensate for that a bit. Okay, there's the Bonaco Dam. I mean, honestly, if I had this simulator when I was doing my PPO training, I think I would have done navigation a bit faster, simply because it models stuff very well. Where there's supposed to be something, it's there. You know, it's simply that you cannot use it as a reference, like obviously legally and whatnot. But when you're just practicing your navigation flights, it's a very useful tool. Very, very useful. You just have to have a current map on your side just to see if everything's there. Okay, so here we are heading towards Pretoria General Flying area number 1. Okay. Go. Probably reach 6,000 feet. We're going to lower our nose. We're going to let the aircraft accelerate. Oh, I'm going to reduce power a bit to about 2,400 RPM. Alright. Currently there's the spider. We're actually a bit further from the power station, which is usually to the right here. And I would have wanted, but now we're about to enter basically the border the General Flying area. So Shanguve and Mabopane to our left. Okay. So at this point, we'll tell the tower that we're 2 nautical miles west of the power station. And then they would change back to our 124.4 for the General Flying area. And then it would broadcast. It was always very interesting going into this area with my instructor because it could be sometimes very chilled or very busy. It was very busy, man. I would know that it's gonna be a stressful flight. But you get to learn a lot how to manage your stress, how to manage the workload, make it easy or make it less difficult rather. Okay. So at this point, we would initiate our climb to maybe about 7,000 feet. We'll do our stalls, our spins. So we'll climb to about 7,500 feet. Okay, so currently now we're heading towards Centerfield, which is here. Right, freeway is over there. We'll fly close to it. So we are on our return trip. There you've got Centerfield, we've got the 4 crop circles, we've got that area we did a lot of forced landings here, precautionary landings. Practicing them at least. Didn't actually do them, but practicing. At this point, the airplane is supposed to have been leaned a while ago, but the leaning mechanism in the simulator does not work correctly. It doesn't work at all, so I pretty much just leave the mixture. Maybe with time, they'll improve the simulator to the point where you can, you know, manage certain things, especially here with the amps, with the alternator. I mean, it's on, but, you know, it's just not very well modeled. But the flight characteristics, I can say they're pretty good. And the visuals are the best thing about this flight simulator. They're very, very good. Other than that, with more time, a few months, maybe a few years, you have a simulator that can do a lot. You can practice even your instrument flying. You can do that at this point, but it's not exactly accurate. Okay, so here with Centerfield, then we've got Freeway there, Amanskraal Dam over there. I mean, it's awesome, really. Really, really awesome. So basically, Amanskraal Dam marks the northern border of the Pretoria GF #1. Oh wow, we're not supposed to be flying IF. We're not in the GF, unless we're in an IFR flight plan, but yeah.
Cessna November Kilo Mike clear touch and go left traffic runway 29er. Wind 287 at 7. Cleared for touch and go runway 29er Cessna November Kilo Mike.
I don't think they were supposed to do that at this point. Alright, so we're gonna track along the northern border to the crater. So we're gonna go this way and the crater. Make a left turn. I think it's a good idea if we descend, because here the clouds that are here, you're not supposed to be entering them, especially on VFR. Okay, so now we're about to arrive at the crater, which is basically the northwestern corner of the GF. So our marker there, you can actually do, it's a key point that we use when people are flying. So people are either flying at the freeway, or they're flying Centerfield, or the northwestern corner, the southwestern corner I mean, or the northwestern corner here, which is where we're doing it, just over the crater, not inside the crater, never. Nothing was ever done there, inside the crater. Just as a disclaimer. much. So I'm gonna employ the autopilot now to help me out in terms of keeping altitude, because it's a bit difficult to talk at the same time as alright. I'm gonna put the heading bag center there. So heading and altitude. Okay. No. Okay, so that it keeps heading and it keeps the altitude. There's the crater. So now we're gonna make our way back to the airport. While making our way back to the airport, we usually descend to about 5,600 feet. Then it just makes sure we're not on a collision course with traffic that's leaving the airspace, Wonderboom airspace. Speed. And turn a bit to the left. I usually aim as a part of water. I don't know what that is, but that's where I usually aim at, and then I come in when I'm actually doing the flight. Turn on. Yeah. It's very hazy. Speed is kind of low. Okay. Bonacor dam there. There's that little dam. Spider is there. Power station is very close here. I'm gonna try to fly over it, but it's just an image at this point on the ground. It's not exactly well depicted. Okay, so about at this point, we would now turn to the right. That's Zood Core that we are north of the power station, asking the tower to let us in, basically. We are now looking for the power station. Should be on the ground somewhere. There we go. There's those towers. But you see now it's not modeled correctly. It's just, you can't see it from afar if you're using the simulator. But there's our power station. Okay. Alright. Okay, now we're gonna join left downwind and just get down to 1,100 feet so that we can enter right downwind runway 29. Choose power there.
Wonderboom Tower, Cessna November Kilo Mike, cancel landing intention. Cessna November Kilo Mike, your cancellation is received. Wonderboom approach Cessna Zulu Sierra November Kilo Mike is type Cessna Skyhawk 4 miles north of Wonderboom 5,200 feet. Request clearance to transition Charlie airspace. Cessna Zulu Sierra November Kilo Mike Wonderboom approach. Squawk 4124. Squawk 4124 Cessna November Kilo Mike. Cessna November Kilo Mike radar contact 4 miles northeast of Wonderboom 5,100 feet. Cleared through the Charlie airspace. Maintain on navigation. Through the Charlie Airspace Cessna November Kilo Mike. Wonderboom Tower Cessna Zulu Sierra November Kilo Mike 4 miles northeast to land.
Cessna Zulu Sierra November Kilo Mike Wonderboom Tower. Enter left base runway 29er. Altimeter 29er decimal 9er to wind 288 at 7.
Enter left base runway 29er Cessna November Kilo Mike.
Cessna November Kilo Mike cleared to land runway 29er. Wind 288 at 7.
Clear to land runway 29er Cessna November Kilo Mike.
Right, so now we're very close to land. We're gonna do a full stop landing. The AT system does a decent job. It's not on point, but it does a very decent job. I'm gonna turn on to final bridge. It's a long-ish final. Oh man. Okay, that direction. There. Okay, so now it's time for me to take over from the autopilot. I'm gonna input 20 degrees of flaps. Reduce power. Because we're a bit too high, we're gonna put in our 50 degrees of flaps. Let's fly much slower. And it's the enter roundout, reduce power, hold off. Alright, there you go. Very nice landing. Okay. So that was the shortish video at our airport. Just showcasing the simulator. Alright.